Tax speed is.
All right, we're gonna call the meeting to order at 7:01 p.m. The council, Long Island, Tuesday, May 23rd. The council things. Pledge, please.
United States of America. To the republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible, liberty, justice for all.
Clerk, please do the roll call.
Carr. Here. Roll.
Here.
Alderman Johnson.
Here.
Alderman Montoya.
Here.
Alderman Rita.
Here.
Alderman Fairwell.
Here. Here. All right. Moving on, forward, we have most city council minutes from May 9th, 2022. City council meeting. Is there a motion? Motion, Alderman Hu, second Alderman Roll. On the question?
Let's see, I noticed under, I think it's number 5, it said absent Johnson Rita, could be Montoya. And under number 8, Johnson Rita. Could be Johnson Montoya. Okay. I'll have that. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions? Roll call.
Alderman Carr.
Aye.
Alderman Roll.
Aye.
Alderman Johnson.
Aye.
Alderman Montoya. Alderman Rita.
Aye.
Alderman Fairwell.
Aye.
Alderman McGee.
Aye.
7 ayes.
Motion carries. Public comments? Any public comments?
Yes.
Go ahead.
Good evening. My name is Ali Clemens. I'm Mission Covenant Church. I'm the secretary and also outreach individual staff person. But in case I'm here tonight to share with you, and I've already spoken Zillman, excuse me, about our motorcycle blessing. That's going to take place on June the 25th, and that'll be at Mission Covenant Church. We'll be outside, and we're planning to have both a parade and also a barbecue. And so I'd like to invite members of the council to come and visit with us on that day. And also we're working on coordinating a block party, and that's scheduled for the it's back to school party, that's July 29th. And I'm going to also see if I can get someone to help me translate what we'd like to do on a flyer, and that we can go door to door. So I'm looking forward to meeting members in the community, and then also speaking to the gentleman here that works, and he actually lives in another area, see if we can make some coordination of efforts in that regard. So I look forward to returning to you second Tuesday of the month, and also look forward to bring about information regarding our organization. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Public comments?
Your Honor, Mayor, City Council members, thank you for having us. This evening, my name is Thomas Madrigal. I live at 13427 Moser. And let me say initially, this weekend is Memorial Day. Let's remember what Memorial Day is about, not just barbecue, picnic, beer parties, to remember our fallen veterans. We gave a ultimate sacrifice for our country. The American flag was waved on 10/11 when I first served Vietnam. A lot of 4 or 5 were from Vietnam here, so let's not forget. And also, too, tomorrow at the library, we're going to have an event for the veterans there. 6 o'clock library. I guess ex-Governor Quinn could be there. And then this Saturday, 10 o'clock in the morning, Lincoln School, the Latin American Advisory Committees, and 10 a.m. we're gonna have a program that about a half hour. Okay, invite the city council to come if you have time. And then Monday, the American Indian folks, if they want to, they're gonna have a Memorial Day program at Memorial Park at 11 o'clock. So please try to be there, back up all these veteran events. Okay, that's why I want to say too that I went around my neighborhood yesterday before yesterday, and the lady was telling me she lives at the corner by the corner store, a Mexican store in Broadway, California. There was an accident Sunday. 1:30, vehicle coming north on, California, exit, and like I said before, there's cars parked by that corner store. I guess he came out, he swore like, I guess two cars got in an accident, because the guys, I guess he had ambulance, so forth, I guess police got a report about that. Like I said, that's a dangerous intersection, very dangerous, because like I said, people are flying like a bat out of hell trying to get those gates over there, going east on Broadway. So thank you very much for listening to my comments.
Thank you. Any other public comment? Not moving on to proclamation, J.R. Bramlett. I need a motion, well, I'll do is I'll do the motion second, and then I know there's an alderman, this one alderman has some comments, and I'll read the proclamation, and then we'll invite J.R. up here to take a picture. So we need a motion and a second to motion Alderman Rita, second by Alderman Johnson. Alderman Rita.
I'm very happy to introduce the next city council action to honor a friend of mine and especially my entire family. J.R. Bramlett has always been a friend of the Ritas. J.R. was an active volunteer and very helpful, beginning with my grandfather, Anthony Pizza, who was mayor of Calumet Park. He continued his service and friendship to my father, John Rita, who was mayor of Blue Island, and is a very good friend to my brother, Bob, who is state rep of our very own 20th district, and myself, of course, all in the third ward. JR's friendship goes way beyond the political world in that he cares for his community and has consistently volunteered and donated workers and equipment during times of city emergencies, such as snowstorms or tornadoes. He's donated trucks and other equipment when he knew the city was in financial distress. And in addition to all this, he, as I previously said, is a good friend to the city of Blue Island, the village of Calumet Park, me, and my family. So let me say I am honored to introduce this resolution and also wish you a very happy birthday.
Resolution honoring Lonnie J.R. Bramlett Jr., May 23rd, 2023. Whereas Lonnie J.R. Bramlett Jr. was born March 16, 1943, in Pontotoc, Mississippi, to Iona and Lonnie Bramlett Sr. Whereas J.R. Bramlett proudly served his country, enlisting in the United States Army in 1960 and serving for 3 years, as well as serving as a member of the National Guard for 2 years. Whereas J.R. Bramlett served his community as Calumet Park police officer, and as well as served as Director of Public Works for the Village of Pell Park. And whereas J.R. Bramlett has been a proud owner of Airline Towing since 1968, and has been providing quality service to the people of Blue Island and surrounding communities ever since. And whereas J.R. Bramlett has been a generous corporate citizen both in Blue Island and throughout the nation, donating multiple trucks, fire trucks, armored vehicles, other supplies to first responders, as well as donating to Blue Cap here in Blue Island, various police charities and other worthy causes. And whereas J.R. Bramlett and Airline Towing have been recognized for their efforts to transport fire engines and firefighters to New Orleans, wake of Hurricane Katrina. Whereas J.R. Bramlett is a decorated competitive race car driver, sponsor of several race cars throughout the years. And whereas J.R. Bramlett has lived a rich and eventful life that has been memorialized in his autobiography, That's Gonna Catch Fire. Therefore, be it resolved, I, Mayor Fred Bellato, on behalf of the city of Blue Island, sincerely wish Lonnie J.R. Bramlett a happy 80th birthday. And furthermore, we thank him for his many years of service, support, and friendship with the city of Blue Island. Mayor Fred Bellato. Motion made and seconded. Can we have a roll call, please?
Carr.
Aye.
Bull.
Aye.
Alderman Johnson.
Aye.
Toya. Alderman Rita.
Aye.
Alderman Fairwell.
Aye.
Alderman McGee.
Aye.
7 ayes, Your Honor.
All right. A few comments. I know I met JR probably way before I did remember meeting him, but Raceway Park, my family was always sponsored there with the Maplewood Inn and stuff, and going back through many years. And just a figure in town, I'd say one of those iconic figures you have to meet in person. So I want to invite JR up here, take some photos, and invite anybody from your family that you want to take a picture.
Mayor,
Yeah. We're all right, all family.
stop, you too. No.
We can get somebody to take a picture.
Exactly, those right there.
Great. Thank you. For kind words. I worked, Katrina, you know, and that storm and then Orland Park, gave them 2 fire trucks and I wound up taking them down there. And, but I worked with, fire trucks when go out and I bought some from them. I donated 25 fire trucks to southern small towns. And the mayor down there told me one day, you don't realize how many jobs you created with young kids, get out of school, they come to a firehouse and they work to wash their fire trucks. It means a lot. But your old, storm tornado alarm system, we took it down, no charge, and, Imperial Crane, she set it down for me. I donated it down there to a town called Paxton. It still works great, and they're grateful. You know what, you can only yield and do when you're able to do it. I've been very fortunate, going all the way back to the 70s when my helicopter was over there and we used it. You guys used it, state police used it. I've always been for the town, regardless of the leadership, regardless of the people, we've always been there to help. And it's going to continue to be that way. Thank you for having me. Appreciate it. Thank you again.
Mayor,
Johnson had a.
I just have a comment with JR. I want to thank JR from back in the day when we had a Winnebago and he used to start here with Hennessy for me. The Untouchables, thank you for many rides that we had. From your heart. And we thank you. Thank you when the rioters came in Blue Island. Myself, Minister for Mission Covenant, I had 8 of my soldiers with me. And you came down and dropped Jersey walls on Western and said they won't be coming through here. I appreciate that.
Thank you, Jared. Thank you. Agenda, we have a presentation by Dave Birch, the wilderness restoration project, of Stony Creek. I believe he's completed now and took out, not a lot of garbage, right?
Yeah.
Come on up there, give a little synopsis of what you uncovered.
Yeah, thanks. And thank you all sincerely for allowing the project to happen. It was sorely needed. We ended up taking 247 bags of trash out from that area and 40 tires, truck tires, and probably 2 full 20-yard dumpsters of what we call extras. And we started March 27th, and we ended it May 15th. We estimated the project in the beginning to be about a month. We estimated there's always unforeseen troubles, troubleshoot throughout the project. So we were only a couple short weeks off, but ultimately we completed the project. It was great. We approached two local businesses, Crawford Roofing and Luster, to be able to bring all our bags out to their property. And next to Luster, they have a vacant lot. But we approached them and got permission to drive back there. We didn't have to walk the bags a mile to the creek out towards Public Works. And they loved it, and so did Crawford Roofing. And along the way too, probably 20 residents that back up to the creek stopped us and were looking at us and said, you know, I introduced ourselves and told them what we're doing, and they loved it. Because now it affects them in a great way, because you know, they can look up their backyards and they don't have to see the trash that was on the other side of the creek that was otherwise untouchable. Begin with, we started at the dog park by Ann Street in Grove. We walked through that area. I walked through the rocks that are directly on the side of the Calsag Canal. And there was a lot in those rocks, old fishermen, lots of beer cans, lots of fishing stuff, things like that. And then we headed up towards Kedzie, next to the school, and started to make our way down. And again, I want to thank you for having choosing now to do this project, because to tell you the truth, would have waited maybe 5 years, would have been next to impossible, because we had to cut the trail through both sides along Stony Creek just to be able to access the bottom next to the creek up towards the street with our tools. And we weren't invasive at all. We actually found the small animal path that ran through the creek, and just mostly used small tools, snips and stuff, just so we could walk through the bags. Like I said, we had 250, and it was not easy walking through, getting out of there, rolling tires that far, and things like that. But we finished up the south side of the creek and made our way to the north side, and finished May 15th. And like I said, thank you guys again. Most rewarding job I've ever had.
Well, thank you, and I believe, Mark, there's like hundreds of hours of footage and photographs, and probably disseminate some good shots to the Alderman.
Yeah,
Project.
absolutely. I GoPro throughout most. I don't have, not an expert yet. My organization's new and I'm new to the GoPro, but I was working with it. I walked through the creek. Waders on, pull tires out, and all sorts of garbage that flooded through, and plastic bags that were stuck along tree line next to the creek. So I got really good footage of everything, and I can't wait to show you guys tomorrow.
Awesome, thank you.
Great job,
Is there
thank
any
you.
questions from the Alderman? All right, thank you. All right, next we're under item B, motion for approval of payroll for May 12, 2023, in the amount of $392,644.98. For motion, Alderman Roll, second Alderman Carr, any question? Clerk, please do the roll call.
Alderman Carr,
Aye.
Alderman Roll,
Aye.
Alderman Johnson,
Aye.
Alderman Montoya, Alderman Rita,
Aye.
Alderman Fairwell,
Aye.
Alderman McGee.
Aye.
7 ayes, Your Honor.
Thank you. Under C, we have a motion to approve accounts payable dated May 24th, the amount of $336,313.45. Is there a motion? Alderman Fairwell, second by Alderman Roll. Question? Question?
This is awfully low.
Yeah. Let's not, rock the boat too much. You know, there's no garbage bill, I think, this was the issue. Second payments. Any other questions? Clerk, please do the roll call.
Alderman Carr.
Aye.
Alderman Roll.
Aye.
Alderman Johnson.
Aye.
Alderman Montoya.
Aye.
Alderman Rita.
Aye.
Alderman Fairwell.
Aye.
Alderman McGee.
Aye.
Alderman, 7 ayes, Your Honor.
Thank you. Under D, we have a motion to approve manual check for Mobile Credit Company LLC in the amount of $15,223.75. There a motion? Motion by Alderman Roll, second by Alderman Montoya. On the question? Clerk, please do the roll.
Alderman Carr.
Aye.
Alderman Roll.
Aye.
Alderman Johnson.
Aye.
Alderman Montoya.
Aye.
Alderman Rita.
Aye.
Alderman Fairwell.
Aye.
Alderman McGee.
Aye.
7 ayes, Your Honor.
Motion carries. And motion to approve mayoral appointments. So they're almost all reappointments. I'll go through them here. On civil service, Kevin McKinney. On historic preservation, this is a new one on the vacancy, Colleen Walsh. On planning and zoning, reappointment David Brown. Fire pension has nobody right now. Library board is Pamela Martin, Mark Peters, and Michael Cindy. On police pension board, James Johansson, Wayne Wolf. And forestry board, Lindsay Cindy. Majority of them being just reappointments. Is there a motion? Alderman Montoya, second by Alderman Rita on the question. Clerk, please do the roll call.
Alderman Carr. Aye. Alderman Roll.
Aye.
Alderman Johnson.
Aye.
Alderman Montoya.
Aye.
Alderman Rita.
Aye.
Alderman Fairwell.
Aye.
Alderman McGee.
Aye.
7 ayes, Your Honor.
Carries. Next, we have a motion to approve the 2023 Alley Program bid to Lowe's bidder of Murphy Construction Services Incorporated in the amount of $243,914.04. Is there a motion? Motion by Alderman Carr, second by Alderman McGee. On the question.
Yeah, my understanding was, of the bids, this one had come in notably lower than the others. Can you speak to the why of that?
So Burke Engineering also noticed that and reviewed all the amounts and they all check out. So we're hoping we got lucky to, it's significantly lower, you're right. Now just to give a backstory, this is the second time we went out to bid. The first time we went out to bid, they all came in high. And we went and rejected all the bids and sent another round out of bids. We moved into some alleys because it was way out. I think the lowest one was like $380. That only budget was $150. So, but Burke did check out the quantities in their bid and seems everything match up. Check the references. All journal.
One quick question. I don't need an answer right now, but I would like to just check it. The alley that's designated off running north of High, just west of Western by the AT&T property.
Yep.
That alley's in pretty good shape there, so I just wondering why we picked that.
That half of the alley, is actually all gravel. There's two houses back there. I drove all of these myself too. It's all filled in with gravel. And then it empties out into a parking lot.
Is this the alley that runs?
It's not behind Ambus, it's the one west.
Oh,
Yeah, the one behind Ambus is nice.
okay, got
This
it.
is a half alley
Yeah,
that
got
empties
it.
out. Yep,
Yep.
yep.
Yes, I got it. Thank you.
Alderman Johnson, I believe you saw it again.
Yes, is it, how much history or experience do they have none of this stuff?
The references checked out, they've done all they do is pay. Alderman Rita,
What line item is this, money coming out of?
Alex,
Didn't know we did.
$100,000.
Only alley?
It's an alley. Any other questions?
Water they shoot the grades.
Yeah, that's it. We gotta make sure that's why Burke's gonna be supervising it. And so last year, just to give a history, we did a pilot program with about 10 or 12 alleys. This is 21 alleys, I believe. Now, there's another round coming back out, for MWRD grant, reality grant we got. It's gonna be another, I think, 8 alleys. We haven't gone out to bid for those.
That's right, we said.
There's another alley bid going out, but it's grant money tied to MWRD. We haven't gone out to bid yet. Any other questions?
No more than that one on Mozart. Backside of Mozart.
Simon?
Right, it's just that it's a difficult alley because everything dumps into that lady shard.
Yeah.
She's been complaining quite a while. I just want to make sure it's graded right.
Say 90% of these were ones that you guys sent to me with a couple of public works on it. All right, clerk, please do the roll call.
Carr.
Aye.
Alderman Roll.
Aye.
Johnson.
Aye.
Alderman Montoya. Alderman Rita.
Aye.
Alderman Fairwell.
Aye.
Alderman McGee.
Aye.
7 ayes, Your Honor.
Carries. Under G, we have a resolution for the city of Blue Island, County, Illinois, authorizing and approving proposal from BISIM Enterprises LLC. Is there a motion? Motion by Alderman Carr, second, Alderman Montoya on the question. Alderman Fairwell.
Yeah, so I am not going to vote in favor of this tonight, although I agree with Mr. Mayor that this is something we definitely need to do. But I don't feel that the business proposal is enough specificity. I don't really have any background about the group. And I am a little bit disappointed that we didn't do a broader search for this, although this would be qualified. I am concerned about the fact that, you know, when they spoke with us, I asked them about their website. And he explained that, you know, he was getting it together, but that he owned it, and he doesn't, because it's listed for sale for $39,000. So I just have a lot of questions here, and it's a very kind of brief and vague proposal. Again, I'm all for this idea. In fact, I kind of like to see this ideally combined with our marketing budget to, you know, kind of make a stronger whole out of it. So I would be willing to table this if we wanted to approach it that way, but I won't vote yes on it.
I understand your concerns, and we tabled it a few times, rather just if we're gonna sit off, you know, for 5 minutes tonight. We're not gonna do it, I'd rather not do it. So. Question? Alderman?
Yeah, I largely agree with Alderman Fairwell, and would just like to add that, you know, I'd like to see the city put together some sort of economic development plan, you know, form some sort of board or entity that can say, these are the areas that, you know, that we want to focus on. These are the sort of businesses we want to attract, as well as establish what sort of concessions or, you know, things that we are prepared to do to entice those businesses before we can engage the services of the business. And that is why I will not vote for it tonight as well.
Someone can make a motion to table. Fine. Now,
I'm over the table.
all right, the motion table, second by Alderman Johnson. Any questions? Roll call would be a table.
Alderman Carr,
Aye.
Alderman Roll,
Aye.
Alderman Johnson,
Aye.
Alderman Montoya. Alderman Rita,
Just to reiterate, the reason why we're tabling is so that we can get more information on,
Them a more specific proposal, and ideally I would like to see a, you know, some other vendors. Yeah, this,
okay, aye.
Alderman Fairwell.
Oh, aye.
Alderman McGee.
No.
6 ayes.
All right, it's been tabled. So I'm gonna stress what I kind of was saying earlier. I'd say the next meeting, we make a decision on this, because I think we've been kicking around for a year. I'll get more information. Please send me any questions to me, and I will get answers for you hopefully by the next meeting. We can move on this, if not move on to some other plan, because we've been kicking this around for about a year and a half. Thank you. Under H, we have a resolution for the city of Blue Island, County, Illinois, to authorize and approve a settlement agreement relating to 12751 Lincoln. Is there a motion? Motion by Alderman Roll, second by Alderman McGee on the question. Clerk, please do the roll.
Alderman Carr,
Aye.
Alderman Roll,
Aye.
Alderman Johnson, Alderman Montoya.
Aye.
Alderman Rita,
Aye.
Alderman Fairwell,
Aye.
Alderman McGee.
Aye.
7 ayes, Your Honor.
Series under I, the ordinance for the city of Blue Island. Now, the next four are planning and zoning. So the ordinance for the city of Blue Island, County, Illinois, granting special use, not truck sales LLC operated within the Industrial One Limited Industrial District, 2922 Wyerton Road, and I believe this one was Rowan before, Howard? Yeah, Rowan location before.
Yeah.
Is there a motion? Motion by Alderman Roll, second by Alderman Rita on the question. Please do the roll call.
Carr,
Aye.
Alderman Roll,
Aye.
Alderman Johnson,
Aye.
Montoya, Alderman Rita,
Aye.
Alderman Fairwell,
Aye.
Alderman McGee.
Aye.
7 ayes, Your Honor.
All right. J, we have an ordinance for the city of Blue Island, County, Illinois, granting special use permit, Maven Automotive Consultants Incorporated operated within the I-2 General Industrial District, 13840 South Harris Avenue. Is there a motion? Motion by Alderman Roll, second Alderman Johnson. Question? Clerk, please do the roll call.
Alderman Carr.
Aye.
Alderman Roll.
Aye.
Alderman Johnson.
Aye.
Alderman Montoya.
Aye.
Alderman Rita.
Aye.
Alderman Fairwell.
Aye.
Alderman McGee.
Aye.
7 ayes, your honor.
Ordinance. City of Wyoming, County, Illinois, granting special use for M&M Auto Repair Incorporated operating in the I Industrial 2 General Industrial District, 13846 South Harris. For motion, Alderman Johnson, second, Alderman Fairwell on the question. Clerk, please do the roll call.
Alderman Carr.
Aye.
Alderman Roll.
Aye.
Alderman Johnson.
Aye.
Alderman Montoya. Alderman Rita.
Aye.
Alderman Fairwell.
Aye.
Alderman McGee.
Aye.
7 ayes, your honor.
Carries. And finally, an ordinance for the city of Wyoming, County, Illinois, amending chapter 165 of the Code of Ordinances regarding signs. Is there a motion? Alderman Fairwell, for a second. Alderman Johnson on the question. Alderman Rita.
20.
Yes.
What's the difference, what we're changing in your own words, please? Thank you.
All right, I think it's easier just to follow through the ordinance that's provided to you. So the first one that deals with exemptions, 165.109, is basically giving the city the ability to install or replace a sign that benefits the city and its residents, the city staff, with consent of the approval of the city council. So it's tying in with that LED message board that this group approved a while ago for the intersection of 127th and Western. So this basically says that in the ordinance that you could do it. Fine, then I could sign off on it. Before that, we didn't have anything like this, so that's that part.
It's the electric, the electric.
Then 165.110 prohibited signs. Most of these lines are just strengthening it. But when it comes to moving signs, they include signs that move, revolve, rotate, and have visible mechanical movement of any kind, including wind activated, but not including clocks with movable hands. The reason why I'm doing this is to give me more of an ability to go out and enforce things that might happen in the foreseeable future. D as in David, I put in parentheses as an example, feather flags, balloon signs, signs painted on, attached to balloons. And you see it in the photos that I provided. That's what I need. Those types of temporary signs. F, just revising pennant flags, no more than 15 days. Usually they're reserved for grand opening. They shouldn't be there for like a month, 30 days. L is in deals with benches located on private or public property, advertising a business product or service. You usually see it with the case bus, the benches, public right away. How do you advertise? This gives me at least some flexibility in enforcing private properties. Another section was obsolete and abandoned signs. It advertises a business product, service, or activity no longer located on the premises. Another one is R, off-premise signs that advertise a business that is not conducted on the premises. These are the ones that we put on pole signs, that we put in the parkway, grand opening or something like that.
We buy houses, we buy trailers,
Yeah.
and stuff that we hate, but now actually putting it over, you can't have.
S is a good one. S is the Dunkin' Donuts truck I provided as an example. Signs placed or painted on a vehicle that's parked in a location such as the primary purpose is to advertise the product or the service or to direct the public to a business or activity located on site. The truck itself is fine. If they're advertising their product, that's not a problem. It's the way the truck is placed on the property. I haven't seen any done here in Blue Island, but in my other municipalities that I've worked for, they'll plop a truck that's diagonal or perpendicular to the sidewalk. They'll just leave it there for 15 or 20 days.
Usually Dunkin' Donuts is notorious for this, is why I use them as an example. I see it in other communities, it's just another way of advertising on the property. Again, this is under prohibited signage. And then the last one in this section is T. Trailers or portable designs that are attached to trailers. Again, we don't see many of these, but if they do appear in town, then I can enforce it. So that's with prohibited signs, basically strengthening and also giving further examples. 165.112 deals with the illumination section. This is just a line that I revised. Neon tubes or LED related neon tubes, either flexible, opaque, or frosted, are allowed to accent windows in the commercial setting, i.e. a storefront window, but LED strips are prohibited, especially if the LED emitting diodes can be seen. So again, neon around windows, that's fine. Neon that's indicated by LED, that's fine, but it has to be covered. Can't see those little dots of lights, especially if they're changing colors, or blinking and flashing. 165.116. This deals with specific non-residential uses. Basically just cleaning up this section, no more than 2 monument signs. If a property has 3 frontages or more, some properties might have 3. The former Mother of Sorrow is a property that has 3 frontages. This is one that's might be coming down the road where they're like, oh, we can put a monument sign on each side, so I'm limiting it to 2. As an example, and then the monument sign area, 6 by 4 or 24 square feet, and the size is being shortened by a foot. This is because of visibility. Noticing a lot of these huge monument signs, if they're perched onto the parkway, person who's walking besides it doesn't know there's a small car coming out of the lot. So 5 feet at least gives you some visibility on top of the monument sign. And then pole signs are prohibited. So we encourage monument signs like many municipalities do. Again, this is for non-residential uses, residential areas. Then there's this section, except permitted for signs, pin mounted ladder are allowed 32 square feet. Page 7, number 5, the percentage for a monument sign, either manual, changeable, copy, or electronic, from 33% to 35. That's just an easy number to calculate, to visualize. So I can tell a person, well, your monument sign is at 24 square feet. 35% of that 24 square feet could be dedicated for electronic message board. That's the reason for that upping the number. And then the permitted sign area for wall signs made of individual pin mounted of 32 square feet. That was just moved earlier in the section, so it kind of makes sense. Signs in non-residential uses are allowed by special use or in a plan development. So if we have a plan development, we have a master sign plan. We can look at it. Keeping this in mind for Mother of Sorrows, we're going to come in with lots of signs. So what this says is, okay, provide us with a master sign plan and we'll review it. And these signs may be granted with certain deviations for sign height and location, especially for plan development. Signs in commercial district 165.117 deals with temporary signs, including sidewalk signs, banner, and attention getting devices that's been eliminated, tenant flags, more specific. Then page 8. This is a section that I really invested a lot of energy and time. I provided everyone with an illustration. Each person can see it. It just goes into details how an awning outside of the UTV could be applied for, especially for the maintenance, the main part of the awning. I could go into greater details, but basically balances can't be, wider than what you have here as, and as an example, level in the blue. It's an exaggerated balance. It was done purposely to advertise the business. Under this code, the balance is 8 inches, the lettering is 6 inches, so it provides you with a 1-inch border. So it kind of helps you look at the sign that's being advertised on the balance. Also, with this section, what can be advertised on the balance, the name of the business, the services provided by the business, the house number or the street. So for example, Howard's Hardware, Howard's Tools, or selling tools could be on the balance. Now, again, when we look at the UTOD district, business can either have a business name or a logo printed on the main portion of the awning of the balance. And that goes into percentages, right? Number 8, letters shall be limited to 25% of the height of the awning, is measured from the point of attachment of the building to the bottom, fully extended. And then the lettering shall be limited to only 50% of the width of the awning. So that's the top one. 25% of the letter height, and then 50% towards the middle. That's where the lettering of the business can be done. Now, if it's a logo, there's more flexibility, up to 50% of the height of the awning could be shown on that. Again, this is not the UTOD. TOD does not allow for it. This is just the regular commercial overlay zone. Basically, 119th Street, 127th Western Avenue, 127th going east or west for those types of businesses. And 1.165.118. I'm eliminating this section of the UTOD. What I've noticed, especially with sign people, sign contractors, is this, oh, it says it in one code and it says in another. My idea is to strengthen the UTOD with signage, another venture. So the first step is to remove it here. Thomas Jason Berry, what I was going to do as quickly as possible because it brought it to my attention. And then 165.120 billboards. Now, a billboard can only be located on Interstate 57. Billboards are now located in residential, commercial, or UTOD. Before we had this quirky thing of letters, A, B, C, where we have Interstate 57, Federal A, primary highways, Federal A, secondary. Those 2 lines were eliminated, so Interstate 57, maximum area is 672 square feet. This is a property that abuts the 57. They could have a billboard on the back of their property to go to the special use. Another thing that I picked up, it wasn't very well spelled out. A billboard shall not utilize changeable digital displays. It will be static. And then temporary signs, 165.121. Again, banner signs shall not exceed 15 consecutive days. Banner signs shall be no larger than 24 square feet or 6 by 4 as an example. Banner signs shall be limited to 2 occasions in a single calendar year. The display period shall be no more than 15 days. So basically, I'm limiting the time, the days here. And then D is included in the same section, deals with temporary pennant flags. Again, pennant flags will only be displayed in a commercial establishment 2 occasions, will not exceed 15 days. The temporary sign permit is required for a 15-day period, 15 days must not be consecutive. If you're going to advertise land open for the Christmas sale, it's going to be done in the month of December. We can have it in January also. We have to skip it, so typically with the Christmas, summer sales and stuff like that. So, in a nutshell, this sign code was revised in various sections, prohibited, allowing for signs that benefit the municipality, temporary signs, cleaning up on the awning, canopies. The former one was kind of quirky to do the calculation. But I think.
Thank you. What's the basis for the restrictions on the spatial sizing? Why do we step in and dictate, for example, 50%?
I actually was gonna ask the exact same question. I don't see what the big deal is. Why are we doing that?
Because it's considered sign pollution, we have the sign covering the holes to the money.
So it's an aesthetic decision, okay. And who set that 50%?
Most municipalities have it.
So it's based on other municipalities?
I've looked at other municipalities in the surrounding areas.
And then with, if this gets passed, are we gonna make businesses change all their signage now, or are they grandfathered in and new businesses coming in, or how are we doing that?
So, this is for people applying for new sign codes as we speak today. So the businesses that have it are grandfathered. I don't know if you noticed, but a lot of I do all the sign reviews. We have to go to ones that apply for variances, and we have to go to the PZBA and city council. One example was Dollar Tree on 127th and Western. They wanted larger wall signs, so they applied for a variance. That's the only example. Most of the times, I'm kind of like chaperoning the sign contractor. Because what happens is the sign contractor will come with the largest sign, I'll deny it, say, per the code, you only allow a certain amount of square footage. So I'm the personally the person who's reading the codes over the telephone to the sign contractor, what is allowed or permissible. So I have a lot of energy and time spent with the sign contractors, and that's what you see the results later on. See signs that are smaller, that are following the regulation. That's
Yeah, I would like to know particularly, I've seen that the effect of that work we've done on Western in particular was starting to get out of control, and it's calmed down quite a bit, so I appreciate that.
Just let the council know that a lot of this is already on the books. Some areas would make them a little easier restrictions. The LED, for example, is why I brought this up to Howard, is right now Lyra Theater sign is the entire sign. Okay, there's no LEDs allowed at all. Now the sign is LED. So that's how this discussion opened up, was I know we allowed that because it's helped the businesses or anything like that, but let's clean up our code to allow it. And also like bar having a sign in the window where the current ordinance doesn't allow that at all either. So it actually opens it up a lot more business friendly than our current ordinance says now.
So typically a person will either apply for a wall sign with a canopy or awning sign. Sometimes they'll apply for a third sign, a blade sign that's perpendicular to the wall. UTOD is more conservative, so that's why you see more conservative awnings. But that's another section that I have to clean up too, especially with the language. We use a lot of illustrative purposes when we shouldn't be. It should be in black and white and print text. Most of this is outside of the UTOD. This deals with our regular awnings. So we're moving away from vinyl awnings, canvas material that's I'm trying to tie in the awnings that is going to be designed in a better manner, so there'll be more uniformity over the years. You notice on Western Avenue, 119th and 127, we have awnings that are several sizes, the lettering, the logo. Good example is the taco place across from State Farm. That was one where I used the old code. You notice it was kind of centered, main part of the awning. Then the square footage on the valance was also made smaller. This was before this sign code change. So that's a good example because we used grant money to do it, so I was very strict about that. But I'm strict in all senses. But I'm thinking about the new businesses. So Love in the Blue, that was taken down because we have to review a facade. So that's why it's not there. So if they do apply again, it's going to conform to today's standards or the ones that you guys approve as approved. Will be. Just like the UTV says, canopies or awnings are extensions of a building. It shouldn't be considered a sign. But Many people use it as a sign.
Any other questions?
So. What, let's say, since we are trying to, get new businesses to come to Blue Island,
Yes,
and we do no balloon signs, but, sidewalk signs are okay,
sandwich board signs.
okay.
And what I've noticed in today's walk, as I walk the area, they're using the sandwich board signs to advertise weed. This might is something my reference looking at it today.
So the sidewalk signs are permissible?
Yes.
And,
They can't block the main part of the sidewalk. You have to provide for a 5-foot clearance for a person with a wheelchair or another person. with a Baby stroller, you'll see all the sandwich board signs are slapped against the side of the business. So for example, the Mars is against the side. Then the new restaurant mostly has it against the side of the building.
That's all the rules.
Yeah, I'd just like to say that I fully support everything that's in here with the exception of the restrictions on lettering and logo. I see the wisdom in establishing some sort of aesthetic baseline or standard. This feels a bit arbitrary. I would at least like us to discuss this more before we place restrictions on the creativity of somebody that wants to advertise their place of business.
I agree with Alderman Roll.
We amend it just to remove those for now and revisit.
Yeah, I'll amend that section.
Yes, please. That's section 8, subsections 8 and 11.
So Alderman Roll make a motion to amend subsection 8. As stated, is there a second?
Second.
Rita? All in favor on the amendment? The roll calls or any dissent?
So
It will amend that, so.
the reason why I added several paragraphs. You read number 2, the one that's been crossed out, that's how you regulate awnings. It gets very confusing very quickly. I'll read it out loud just for everyone to be aware. When an awning sign is used as the primary sign of the premises, the maximum sign area permitted on the awning is equal to 1.25 square feet per foot of awning length and 25% of awning area, whichever is less. The total combined length of all elements of the sign property area may not exceed 75% of the awning or canopy length.
That's the current language.
Yes, that's the current language.
So we amended right now, the current language will stand while we discuss this at a future meeting to amend it.
And that
So
would
everybody's
be,
understanding.
right, that would be a restaurant.
Yes.
Okay, so we're going to keep the same language in that section currently, move the rest, and then in the next committee of the whole, it'll be on the agenda for that one subsection.
Okay.
Okay,
Mhm.
clerk, please do the roll call.
Alderman Carr,
Aye.
Alderman Roll,
Aye.
Alderman Johnson,
Aye.
Alderman Montoya. Alderman Rita,
Aye.
Alderman Fairwell.
Aye.
Alderman D.
Aye.
7 ayes.
Motion carries. Thank you, Howard.
And just keep in mind that I know a lot of people are attached to awnings, it's the primary sign. But technically with the code, you're allowed to have a wall sign and an awning. So if the awning is regulated, they can still have a wall sign. There's that section in the code that says if you're using a combination, we give you a square footage limit of 32 square feet. Awning and wall sign.
Let's have the language of the next committee all on the agenda. Howard, up here, talk more about it.
Yes.
All right, our mayor's comments, got some good news. The state liquor commissioner agreed with the city of Blue Island, all counts with Ravens involved, and affirmed our decision across the board and didn't revoke anything. Held our decision, my liquor commissioner's position, that they will hold their license for the Ravens and the Balls. So that part's they agreed with us. There is a window they can appeal, 15 days.
20 days, but we're at about 15.
But so far, so good. At all counts, they approved. They came down with the judgment that they agreed that we did the right thing. That's good news for the city on that front. Some capital improvement stuff. The alley is obviously the first thing coming up. So we have some bids that are out there right now. windows for City Hall, roofs for City Hall. They're still open right now. I think bids aren't due until the end of the week, or maybe next week on that. That'll have to come to next year's committee of the whole. Old Western Avenue, waiting on one permit finally. We're pretty close to finally doing this, even though it's been approved over a year ago. We're waiting on IDOT. Finally start the project on Old Western, a much more scaled back version of Old Western Avenue. There'll still be sidewalks and lighting, but IDOT does not allow a lot of the bells and whistles. The only positive end of that, it'll be a lot cheaper. But it'll look still hopefully a lot, 1,000% better than it was now. And then hopefully we can start that on phase 2 and phase 3, which we have substantial grant money that we can't spend until we start with phase 1 on Old Western, which we have the money in the bank for already anyway. So wouldn't require any lending, just a matter of getting started. Finally be able to do that project. Sewer televising came back for all the streets that we threw a big web out there, streets that were chosen by Public Works and the engineers. Some sewer work has to be done. So we're discussing now doing 2 different phases, doing the streets that don't need any sewer work, in a shortened version of a street plan, but then doing another version and going out to bid early in the fall for early spring 24 work where sewers have to be done in conjunction with the street. So we might have a very busy summer, at least on the meeting end, going over some documents. But not as bad as we thought. Just to give an example, the Kitty Corral area by the water tower, probably the worst streets in town, sewers are fine. So we just repave the streets, which is not what I assume, considering how bad the streets are. But Greenwood, 123rd, 127th, needs a new sewer. So we might have to push that to a fall bid for early spring 24, because the worst thing we want to do is open up the street and all winter long we bid falling up the street. So we want to do this correctly with 2 streets where it's just asphalt grinding. We do that, do it right away. And then the streets that need sewer work, we go out to bid early, so we start really early in 24, so we can complete everything. That's at least my opinion right now. The engineers are working over all that stuff. And they also are televising the remaining streets that haven't done it, outside the ones that we've been doing over the last 2 years. So any streets that aren't going to be repaved this year, they're going to be televising for the fall. So we have a complete picture we're looking at for next year of the remaining streets that haven't been done. So a lot of information still coming from the engineers regarding that. I mentioned the MWRD would be a good grant to replace, I think it's 8 alleys, 6 to 8 alleys. I know that through a green energy, green water grant. So that's coming down to about the bid very soon, which is great. I think it's $800,000 grant. And we also have a big grant out there I mentioned before. We're still working on MWRD regarding flooding in Northeast corridors, multi-million-dollar grant. But that's still light years away, just discussions right now, but it's something hopefully we could formalize information to the public very soon. MWRD wants to address the flooding issue east of the hill. And I know I informed all the making we got the grant months ago, but they want to really put that out there too big that we don't really know what it entails yet. MWRD just said they're going to put this money aside and invest it. They haven't really given specifics on what that entails. So they talk about more flood retention ponds, they were talking about sewer money, it could be multiple different things, so we get more information from the public. But they do want to address multi-million-dollar grant. A lot of good stuff, a lot of stuff about the next meeting regarding capital. City Clerk?
Tomorrow, the portrait of the soldier.
Oh, sorry.
I just want to question, maybe some you could put into maybe into the next committee of the whole. Now we kind of got our arms around what some of these projects are costing us. And I'm sure we can all get these questions from residents, one of the streets that get fixed. It'd be great if the engineering firm could maybe put together, a 5-year picture of given what we have to do or what kind of money we have to spend, how we expect it, next 5 years to cover 80% of whatever. It would just be helpful to have something.
Yeah, they are getting close to doing that. They probably give you a figure pretty close. We've asked, by asking just for grant money from the state and federal government, they've given us these figures. Just the LED conversion, they've given us dollar amount, almost the exact foot of what it's going to cost us. So they have all these figures. I'll ask them to present something where it's something like a cheat sheet. We can see how much it's going to cost. But it's something I know they have. We just have to pay it all together. Okay. But I know that lead lines is a big issue. That it's not a big issue for us so much because we have all these other priorities. There's a whole thing about the state wanting all the communities to pull out their lead lines. We have dollar amounts for that. We have grant money coming in for that to survey just to start. We know where we're at. But I know they have all these figures. We must not get it all. All right, thank you.
For tomorrow, Portrait of a Soldier at Royal Library is 5. Please join us along with former Illinois Governor Ed Clinton honoring who served and sacrificed their country. The exhibit will feature hometown hero banners as well as Governor Clinton's traveling exhibit of handheld portraits of Illinois people who were killed in action beginning of the War of Terror in 2001. And also we have about 90 hometown hero banners that are going up, and they believe they started today. So I'm not sure if we're going to up. The flower sale and chalk walk for the next one is scheduled for June 3rd at York and Western. The Council of Montessori Schools having a field day May 25th at 8:30 to 2:30. The Blue Island Park District is having, the pool is opening on Friday. We're looking for people to sign up for their swim lessons. And their June 3rd is their yard sale in the park. The Chamber of Commerce is having a golf outing on June 9th. TGIF is back June 9th also. We will be having music at the park, food vendors, and vendors selling miscellaneous things. Save the date for fireworks in the fall, and it's July 1st. We will have a first time community garage sale in the whole town, August 4th, 5th, and 6th. And it will be free. All you need to do is sign up at the clerk's office. Mission Covenant Church is having their motorcycle blessing, like discussed earlier, June 25th. Fieldhouse is planning a 5K run and walk. It's in the beginning stages, September 24th. We'll save the date. Also, don't forget to get your gift stickers. All I got.
Thank you. Attorney again?
Yeah.
City Administrator?
Very quickly, just two handouts I gave to the council earlier tonight. One is updated revenue expenditure report through May 22nd, so through yesterday, basically. Just from a tracking standpoint, we're about 40% through the fiscal year. And so just go through that. If you have any specific questions for the week as you're looking through it, just let us know. And the other was just a report from the building department on varying permit fees for the month of April, and then year to date. There's a line item on the building permit for a housing court. I'm gonna get, we have some folks calling sick. We had very limited staff at the building department this week. But I'm gonna get some more specific numbers in terms of housing court, what's going on in the past 30 days. And we're working on, our software doesn't break everything down by wards. It's just not built that way. We'll work on trying to get all of this specific information so you can have a sense of how housing court is really specifically to your ward, where you can address things with the individual residents, and you can see some issues where you're physically seeing where they're at in process. So those are the two things in front of you and what's forthcoming hopefully this week in terms of some more specific housing court data. So that's all I have. Any questions?
I attended housing court last month, and one of the businesses I met on Western Avenue was the strip mall on 12601 Western Avenue, the seafood strip mall, and they hired a contractor to do landscaping. That the contractor was a Wyoming contractor, so they're starting this weekend. So, but I had personally go out there and like walk the land with them after housing court went over there. But it's, I know the attorney was saying might open up another date. That's why we have administrators get. There's a packed house, so we're issuing a lot of citations, especially with grass and garbage and alleys, our new garbage program. So stuff's getting done, but I'd like to see it on a piece of paper so we know exactly what number. I know there's a packed house, and everybody wanted to talk to me because they want to complain, but it's definitely something we're moving in the right direction. I took a drive with Mark 3-4 hours this weekend looking for houses that grass hasn't been cut yet, and it's a lot less than last year is the easiest thing that we took away from that, a lot less than last year. So that's a good problem to have. A lot less empty homes this last year, a lot less vacant property being registered. So moving in the right direction. So we just got to continue that and tweak as we go. All right, Alderman, announcements, reports, or comments? Alberta?
Okay, first of all, I would like to say thank you, Mr. Logan, for getting the revenue expense statement report, and also the building department report that I've asked for this. I really appreciate it, so thank you. And also, as you said, breaking it down by ward, just so we know how to handle the, constituents' complaints would be fabulous. As you know, as you heard from me. So thank you very much. And, one more thing. I don't remember. Next meeting.
Also, there's some demolitions coming down the pipe, if anyone wants to know the addresses, attorneys working on several properties, not a lot, like I said, it's a good problem. But there's some problem houses that have been empty for 20, 30 years.
Yeah.
That we're working through the process of doing demos. We demoed 5 houses last year, going to at least that this year. But we're running into a good problem to have, is there's not a lot of empty houses that are that bad that they have to be demoed anymore. It's a good problem we have, but you'll know the addresses if you want to confirm with us after the meeting or the attorney. A lot of them not memorized like these brain memory. They'll have them come down the pipe very soon. We'll visit do that also. And we're also applying for a grant to possibly get reimbursed for stuff we've done over the last 6 years for demolitions. And Mark's working. So a lot off the top of my head. We're working on a lot of stuff. The Springs was very busy season. Any other Alden?
I remember. Okay, and remember in regards to the bulk pickup, which I know this is a thorn in everyone's side, but I have noticed, at least in the 3rd ward, which I don't have the addresses on me, I can certainly get them, but there are still mattresses that do not have plastic on them that have not been picked up. There are dressers, some couches, there are, what else? Just bulk items. And I don't think that the residents are aware that there is a new program, unless it's landlords and they're just not complying. I don't know. I have no idea. But how are we getting the word? Are we still, if a public works truck goes down an alley and sees this, do they report it and then somebody addresses, it goes to the home, or how are we doing? Since it's still going on, and I understand it's an ongoing problem.
I do know, Nancy, that we are going through a lot of bags. A lot, so I don't know, there are a lot of bags. I fill up a box, and come in, they fill the box up, and then outside they put the box and know something.
Yeah.
On much.
Mike Schroeder, Public Works Supervisor. What happens right now is that if a mattress is uncovered, Public Works has in English and in Spanish has a flyer that gets taped to the door. Okay, to the front door. Okay. It instructs them that they can go to City Hall and get the mattress bag free of charge, that the mattress has to be put in there. That's LRS and for us. Okay, it's a safety issue for the guys. Okay. Any other bulk items, same thing. If it's not, we put a sign there. If it's within 2 yards, which is a dumpster, 2-yard dumpster, which would be like an apartment dumpster or a small business dumpster, and it fits in there, we can do it. But we only pick it up if they schedule an appointment. The whole idea of doing this was so that we didn't have crews driving up and down the alleys. So, after that, the code enforcement goes out. Writes a ticket.
So if they don't schedule an appointment.
We don't pick it up.
And then they get a ticket.
Correct. If somebody calls and complains, or like, some of the aldermen will reach out and say, hey, this has been the situation, and then we try to steer the code enforcement over there so they get notified. Now, we don't have a problem, like, so.
If
like,
somebody says they weren't aware of it.
well, everybody should be aware of it. It's been in the water bill. It's been online. It's been since November. The flyers have been going out. So that's not necessarily cut and mustard anymore. But what happens is like the Mayor Bellato said is that at the hearing, we get the people that have been cited. Okay, well, as long as they come in with a picture showing that they took care of it, 9 times out of 10, it gets dismissed.
Okay.
So, however, if it's a habitual thing or they just blatantly don't, then they're getting fined.
Okay.
So.
There's a garbage problem at a apartment building that not be a garbage, it's had a dumpster outside on New Street, 7th. And then I know our building department has gone there several attempts now. And has done certified mail and housing. And it's a nuisance problem. And it's a shame because it's nice property for recent. But switched hands and now they're constantly seeing garbage outside of them. Similar to what Fidget you sent me today. So, we're getting there, but it's, the building department's been on it. I know I've seen the yellow tags everywhere.
Correct.
And, we're not doing the stickers so much unless it's really, really upsetting them, like third or fourth time. The
Correct.
yellow tags you'll see taped on there. Public Works is making a lot of reports. I've seen the plastic bags in my neighborhood show up where I never saw them before. So I know we're moving in the right direction and we're only a few months into this now.
Correct, and we've met with LRS and, they send us, on the route, their refuse collectors send pictures and, addresses of locations where, like, it's a large amount of bulk, and they take the 2 items, and they'll let us know. There's something that you should all tell your constituents. They do take toilets. They just have to take the top off. So the toilet comes in 2 pieces, right? The tank and the base. The reason for that is there's only one person in the truck. He can't possibly lift both of them together. Okay, so that's what the deal is with it's a weight issue.
All the rest.
Yeah, none of us can do this regularly, but if I'm out and I see somebody that's doing something out for days, I'll bring them up a fire. And knock on the door and often it is, oh, I didn't know that, and they're happy to try, so it's something else we can do.
I have an apartment building on 119th there. I saw a couple mattresses out there and I saw it for rent, so I called the number and I spoke to the building manager and he was unaware of it and took care of it the next day.
Any other questions? Thank you, Mike. Any other Alderman?
I just wanted to say thank you to the Public Works and a lot of really changes. Really, it's really well.
Nothing else? We do not have an executive session. All the reader, roll. Question? No, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.